3, 2, 1, action. Take it away, Johnny Vadero.
Thank you, Robert. Good afternoon. It's nice to have you here today. And a lot of you do have your videos on, which is wonderful. I can see. So we're going to have some fun today. But let's open up with some music, shall we? Let's do a little to get us going here. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay. That was After the Lovin' by Engelbert.
Song she was playing.
Go.
Very nice, Joni.
Great sounds.
Very nice.
Great
Very nice.
sounds.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you
How
like
did you get the woo sound?
the woo.
Or the woo, the moody woo sound.
Oh, that's the vocals.
Vocals, okay.
Vocals.
I gotta trade up and get me an A series.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's so fun, when people talk about that. And they say, wow, since I got my new instrument, I'm playing more and doing more and having more fun. And it is so true. It's like the hobby starts all over again. And I've been having so much fun since I've had the symphony here, and I'm very excited about that. And it's just every day, it's something new and fun, and you really have a great time. Really, really fun. So I have picked some topics that generally do not get talked about very often. And if there was ever a day I could use a cameraman, it's today, but I'm going to have to try to do the best I can. So I have a couple different topics. They're not related to each other. They all are included on the SU and the A series instruments, as well as the LE and the E's. All the things I'm going to do are relative to all instruments actually today, but they're general things that we generally don't really spend a lot of time speaking about. And the first thing I want to talk about is that big pedal at the bottom, the expression pedal. Some people call it a volume pedal, but it is indeed exactly what it says. It's an expression pedal. Now, some of you don't keep your foot on the expression pedal. Other people do. Some of you only keep the front part of your foot on the expression pedal. Some of you keep it all the way in the pedal, which is what you should do. Some of you either let your feet dangle, or if you touch the floor, lucky you. I don't have that luxury, but if you touch the floor, your foot's down. So I'm hoping you can see my back here. So this is what it's like, what I look like sitting at the instrument with both feet on the floor.
Okay.
Now watch my back. Watch what happens when I put my whole foot in the expression pedal. What happens to my back?
Straight.
Uh-huh.
Straight.
Get straight, correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Two of the advantages of keeping your foot in the expression pedal, one is to keep your back straight, and the other is that foot is the balance of your body. It helps balance things out with your other foot being on the floor. So it's an important thing for you to go ahead and keep your foot in the expression pedal. The second and even very significant thing is that it's called an expression pedal for a reason. And it's so we can be expressive with the music. When you listen to any type of music, I can't think of any type of music I listen to where everything's the same volume.
Yeah.
That's not what music is about. Music is about expression. So sometimes the volume's going to be softer, sometimes it's going to be louder. And it's important to apply that, what we call dynamics, to your music. Makes a huge difference. And I'm going to give you an example of that in just a minute. Excuse me. But we need volume changes to keep the music interesting. Some of you set your volume, and then even if your foot is in the volume expression pedal, you never change it.
Yeah.
That's not what it's designed for. It's designed to go louder, softer, and you find the areas where you might start real light, and then when you get through a musical phrase, you might bring the volume up a little bit, and then you might take it down a little bit. So I'm going to give you an example of that right now. I'm going to go to, not you. I'm going to play first. I'm going to play it the way it's set, okay? And I've taken my foot off the pedal because if I don't, I'll change the volume. How was that? It was okay, right?
Dull.
It was dull. It was dull. Now I'm going to do it and give it some expression. Same notes, same chords, everything's the same, but now you're going to hear some good volume changes that put the personality into the song. So here we go. Do you hear a big difference?
Yeah, I do. I hear a big difference.
Big difference. And it's just something that's really not often spoken about. And I guess it's just assumed that people will change their volume. And yet I know that an awful lot of people never even gave it a second thought. So that's something that's going to make your playing sound differently. And it doesn't require your fingers to get any better or anything else. But if you go back into the songs that you really know how to play, for instance, even conductor magic songs, go back in there and play some. And the only reason you're playing now is to be expressing the music with your volume pedal, and listen to what the difference is going to make. Plus, you're going to feel your back straighter because you have your foot in there. So that's just something that I came across actually with a group of my friends here at Sun City, and nobody had ever thought about it really. So I thought it was a really good thing to bring up, to make sure that you use that expression pedal. So,
Yeah, and you know what? When you do that with the expression pedal, it makes you feel the music more.
correct. If you're just playing notes and chords, that's what you're getting, notes and chords. But when you're bringing up the volume and backing off a little bit and altering your dynamics, that then you're into the music, bodily, physically into the music. And that does make a really big difference. We let the notes and the chords take care of themselves. Don't worry about that. Any questions? So there's a simple little thing you can do in the next couple days or so. And now I'm going to move to the graphic mixer, which is on all instruments. That's an engineer's term for volumes. And it's over here on my left-hand side. And the first thing is I want to talk about the master volume. The master volume is exactly that. It's a master. So it controls what amount of volume you're going to have. So if you keep your volume, your master volume down, like let's say you have only 3 lights lit, even if you put your expression pedal to the top degree, put your foot all the way down, you're only going to get that amount of the volume. So what I like to do is I always have my master volume all the way up, and then I control the volume with my expression pedal. So think about that. It's not lockable because it's either up or down or a percentage, but whatever is set on this button, the master volume button, that's as much as you can get from your expression pedal. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Joni,
Yes.
I keep it down just because I don't want to disturb my husband watching TV in the other room though.
Okay. But if it's all the way up, you can still keep it very soft with your expression pedal, but you'll be
tend
getting
not
the
to.
full effect of the instrument.
Yeah, okay.
Try it out. See if it
Okay.
works for you. I'm sure it will. All right. So the next one here is reverb. And reverb is an interesting topic. I've heard a lot of words describe reverb. I guess my word is kind of, it gives a echo or a reverberating effect to the sound. And on other than the master volume, the graphic mixer, all of the levels that I'm going to talk about are all lockable. So if you touch the two together, for instance, on my reverb, your lights will turn amber. And when it's amber, it's locked. That's how you lock them. But reverb is a very interesting topic because the graphic mixer changes depending on what you're playing. And so a lot of people don't even touch those buttons over there. But you have more than one reverb. And I'm going to give you a shortcut for how to find out what you have. You touch your feature clear button and hold it and touch reverb, and all of your types, 10 different types of reverb, will come up. So you don't have to have the same one for every song. So the first one is called the sweet sound. So that's if you want the instrument's tone to be a sweet sound. The second one is auditorium. So if you're in an auditorium, you would use that kind of reverb because it's going to reverberate bigger since you're in that size of a room. The next one is called ballroom reverb. And that would be for the size of a ballroom that you have. Next one, stadium. If you remember going to any baseball games and hearing the music being played, they have a stadium reverb, which is big, very big, because obviously it has to reach over everybody who's in the stands there.
Hey, Joni, I always thought that the reverb, when you pick auditorium or a concert hall, that it just gives the illusion of you being in a concert hall. So it creates the ambience of a concert hall when you pick that particular reverb. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. It's just that you have different types depending on, and it affects the tone, if you will. It reverberates the sound. So then we have a studio. So when I think studio, I think of a small studio. So, and that's good for the comment that was asked before about the master volume. You might like the studio reverb. Try that out. And then we have club, and then room, and cavern. Cavern's very deep. It's just like you were in a cavern. And it's funny, over the years, guys seem to like cavern more than females. I don't know why, but they like it, and they like it for a lot of different types of music. So that one you have to experience yourself, is to turn that on and try it out. And then the next one is church, if you were in a church. And then the last one is cathedral. So we know that a cathedral is big. So they're the different types, and how you get to it. Again, you touch the feature clear and then touch your reverb button, and it'll bring up all the different types. Now, I personally, I'm not a huge reverb fan. I like some, but I don't like it at full capacity. So I usually pull it down 2 or 3 lights, and then I lock it so it turns amber. That way, whatever I'm changing, the reverb will not change. It'll stay the same. Does that make sense? Any questions? Nothing. I don't know if I've totally confused you or.
So Joni, I have a question. So I just did that. This is Inez, and it was set on cathedral. So do I change it to room since I'm in a condo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Try it out.
Yeah.
See what you like. Like I said, that it's really a personal preference, and I'm just not a huge fan. I like the reverb. It's not that I dislike it. I just don't like too much of it. So I'm very aware of that with my ears that, okay, I want a little bit less than that. So I just type it back.
And here's
And
some of
there's
the
the
settings
list
that you were just talking about.
Yes, there's the list that Robert has put up for you to see your 10 types of reverb.
Sometimes people are in a room setting that has a lot of carpet
Right.
that soaks up the sound. And if you don't have reverb, it's a very dry sound. And like she said, everybody's a preference. Like when I play, I like the sweet sound, but I like it at 90% because I like that hall effect, if you will, like you said. Some people are in a room where they have maybe a lot of hard flooring or tile, where that type of reverb might just make it echo a little too much, and maybe a club or room setting might do the opposite effect. And I think Joni said it best: is you pick one and you increase it up and down on the left-hand side, and then you'll find what you like.
Yeah, and carpet and drapes really make a big difference in what you'll need. Very much so.
I didn't know that you could do that, whether you did hit the feature clear and then hit the reverb button. That gives you all your.
That's a shortcut. Yes. Yes, it is. Good.
Yeah, I think the long cut is if you hit feature clear and you have to scroll to page 11, I think, or something like that, down or forwards. But I like your shortcut better. You just push it and then get right to it.
Yeah, very, very good.
Does it factory reset the sweet sound every time you turn the organ on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. But that doesn't mean you can't change it. Pretty much everything's changeable. But
can you lock it?
That's why it's kind of important to learn about your choices. It's not the choices so that it will overwhelm you with too many choices. It's to understand what options you do have. So it's just nice to know what your options are going to be. So I'm going to move along here to the next graphic.
Joni,
yes.
Before you leave that, I can't figure out what you push to lock it. How do you lock it?
Both reverb buttons together and it will lock and turn amber.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Didn't work first time, but maybe I did something wrong.
Nope, you're fine. So I'm going to go now to the bass. And the bass is very interesting. Let me just pull up. I want to give you an example of this. Some people are sensitive to bass and others like a lot of bass. It's just a matter. It's very interesting that men lose, let me just find this for you. Men lose their, here it is, the highs in their hearing as you age. Women lose the lows. So if two people are in the house, the female is probably going to raise the bass. The men are going to need the balance to be on the highs because those are the sounds that are more difficult for them to hear. So I have this example of Boogie Woogie, which is a very bassy background that I'm going to give you here. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Very bassy, right? That's why I chose a Boogie Woogie, so you can really hear it. So if it's too much bass for you, you're going to want to turn it back a little bit and lower it. Sometimes you will find that you need a little bit more bass. I think that the bass is more pronounced for hobbyists when you're playing slow songs, because when you're playing something like the boogie woogie, the whole background is going, going, going. And so it's really hard as a hobbyist to differentiate. Am I hearing too much bass? Am I hearing this? Am I hearing that? But when you play slow to moderate music, that's where you'll be able to be attentive to how the bass sounds for you. Now, another point in conjunction with that is just below in the graphic mixer, just below the bass, there is a tab, an orange tab. It's the last one. And it says either pedal sound or pedal genius. Most people never touch that because they say, well, I don't play the pedal, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say to you, by all means, touch it, because you get to decide what bass. Right now in this boogie woogie, it gave me an acoustic bass and it gave me an electric pick. It's called electric deep bass. Okay. But because the background of the boogie woogie is the piano background, I want that. So I'm going to choose, my sound is going to be number 14, and I'm going to touch that pedal genius, if you will. And in the screen, it comes up piano honky tonk. Okay. I'm also going to touch my automatic bass. Now, listen to the difference of what you can hear in the bass. So if I'm doing, let's say I'm doing some Fiddler on the Roof music, then I want the bass to match up. And a lot of times, as you know, in Fiddler on the Roof music, we use strings. So I'm not going to want an electric bass. And what I have found over the years is pretty much some type of electric bass comes on every style. And to me, it can sound plunky. I don't really prefer that. So I go into my sounds and I decide, well, I want this fiddler music, I want it to be a string ensemble. I find the number for that and I go over and touch the pedal genius, and I can do the same thing in touching the automatic bass. I still didn't play the pedals. The bass is playing for me right now, but the sound of the bass sound is going to be a different instrument. And every musical instrument that you have in your instrument can be put in the pedal bass, in the sound bass of the auto bass. Does that make sense to you? So what I'm saying is, don't settle. Don't settle for the fact, well, the bass is the bass, it just comes on. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be, no, I think I want to hear this sound. And the only way for you to know what you like or what you don't like is, you know, if you turn down, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, or your Orc Plus, so that you're quieting the volume a little bit, then you will hear that bass and say, well, I'm not sure I want that electric bass. It's kind of plunky. And then you can change it to any sound you like. That's kind of a shortcut. How's it working for you?
It works off the bass pedals if you play the pedals?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if it's still here. Oh yeah, it's there. So if I'm playing the pedals now, I have that big honky tonk piano in the pedals, but based on the fact that I touched auto bass as well, I now have it automatically, so I don't have to play the pedals if I don't want to.
Understand. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Any other questions on that? Okay, so change your bass. Try it out. See what you like. And it's fascinating when you do that because every single sound you have in your instrument can be applied to the bass. So you might say, well, I wonder what it's like to have a chime in the bass or a carillon in the bass or a fiddle in the bass. Who knows what you might discover that you like to hear. And I'll just preface that with, follow it with saying, if you find something you really like, save it because you may forget or never find it again. So save it in your bank, wherever you want to put it, A, B, C, D, or E, and save it into a number. And then if you really, really like it, make sure you save it onto a USB, because on a USB now, anytime I want that sound, I'm going to have it right here at my fingertips. You won't have to go fooling around with numbers and doing it. Another thing that needs to be said about the bass is if you have changed the bass sound and you're playing along, great, and you change a setup, the bass will default back. So the only way you can keep the sound in the bass that you want is to go into your locks and lock your accompaniment. Now the bass will stay the way you put it. But without doing that, if you change a sound, you're going to lose it once you change. Does that make sense? Yeah, everybody's okay? Okay, good.
A lot of head nods.
Oh, good. I'm not seeing that. I
No.
don't have gallery on right now. So
Oh, yeah. No, there's a bunch of heads nodding up and down.
good, good,
Even though
good.
videos that I don't see, I could feel them nodding their head up and down. I can sense it.
We're
The
busy
next-
taking notes, writing like crazy.
Oh, they are. They're doing that too.
Oh, good, good. And you can, anything that you wrote down, you know, sometimes you go back over your notes and you go, I have no idea what I wrote. This doesn't make any sense. That's a really great reason to go to your personal assistant and say, explain this to me again. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 explanations or more and then things start to sink in. So don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. I mean, I ask, Robert will tell you, 100,000 questions. I basically am an educator by trade, and going to school, that was half of your degree program, was to learn how to ask questions. So some people get annoyed with it, but
Yeah,
I paid-
100,000 is a little high. I think it was more like 57,632.
I paid a
Got
lot
so
of money
far.
to learn how to ask questions. But that's the way I learn, is if I ask the question. And the second part of asking a question, if you're a shy person, and I'm thinking of one person individually right now, and she knows who she is. If you're a shy person and you get the explanation, and in your mind you go, I have no idea what they just said. I don't understand it. That's something that needs to be said. Perhaps you'll say, can you say that in a different way? Can you use some different words? But if you get an explanation and you're not getting it, you got to tell them you're not getting it. I mean, I part of the training I had in one of my degrees was to be able to say the same thing like 10 different ways or more. And every person will hear it differently and receive it differently. So don't be afraid to ask us questions and then say, I don't get it. Okay, well, let's try this approach. And we kind of thrive on that, because now we're putting ourselves to the test. I want to make this person understand what I'm saying. And so the understanding is on the person giving the explanation. It's not your responsibility. It's up to them to be able to help you to understand. So don't feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault at all. You just need to hear it a different way. So the next button I have is lower. And this is one that people don't really touch either. Not sure why, but lower is the chords. So if I'm not playing with a rhythm and I turn on my easy button, and those of you who know me know that that hum is not my favorite. That is the two flute tabs humming. Here it is again. Hear it? Hear the hum? I like to use the string tabs instead because it's just a little bit lighter and happier. Okay. Now, in slow to moderate music, that's where you're going to want to hear your chords. Doesn't matter if you play one finger or four finger chords, does not matter, but I want to hear them. So in the slower to moderate music, that is the chord sound. And when we do in some of the styling classes, we do, sometimes we add really nice chords. Well, you're not going to appreciate them if you can't hear them. So that's what the lower up and down is for, to bring up your chords. And maybe you want the background to be just a little under where my lower sounds are, because then I will really hear those chords. When you're doing faster music with busy backgrounds, the chords are not going to be as noticeable. They will be noticeable because of the bass that's playing, but the chord sounds themselves are not quite as noticeable. So, but it's definitely in all the other kinds of music. So if I wanted to play, let's say I'm going to play, not that. This is for Robert.
Favorite.
So I could really hear the chord sounds. So in particular, you definitely want to change the volume when you are using the easy button with no background, because you really want to hear. That's the only thing you have to go on to hear. And again, it is lockable by pushing the two buttons together. It'll turn amber, and then you know it's locked. Questions? Nope. Okay, good.
I want to back up. There was a question in the chat. I don't know if you got to it or not.
No, I can't see the chat right now.
Okay, it was back on the reverb. And the question was, if I'm only playing wearing headphone, how does the reverb affect it? It also goes to the headphones as well, doesn't it?
Yes, it goes to whatever you're hearing.
So any changes on the reverb that you make with the headphones also goes
You'll
to
hear it.
Not the extra box, and it'll make it full.
Yeah, you'll definitely hear it because it's the instrument, the reverb that's changed. The reverberation is what's changed. So if you have headphones on, you're still hearing what's coming out of the instrument, even through the headphones. So it remains the same. Very good question. Very good question. Okay, and the last one is Orc Plus. And Orc Plus is debatable as well, because sometimes the background is so strong. And if you choose a lighter instrument, now those of you who have a balance button, that's a great feature because I can change the balance. If my right hand sound is a little too light, I can move my balance toward the melody and it'll bring it up a little bit. Or I can move it to accompaniment and bring the accompaniment up a little bit. But in general, sometimes you like the instrumentation in the background that you're hearing in your music style, but you feel like it's a little overpowering. That's when you turn your Orc Plus down. And there are certain instruments in the A series are more heavily powered with the Orc Plus, and you do have to balance it. You do have to make a change on some models just because it's a little bit too strong. So that's probably the main button of all of them, besides your master. That's a definite one that you should be touching, is your Orc Plus button. Does that make sense?
So you're suggesting that if you want to balance it, you either go up or down on that button. There's no balance button.
If you don't have a balance button, then your background orchestration is either going to get louder or get softer, depending on what you touch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay, any questions on that? Let's do this. Let's do a style here that we have, because some it says Orc Plus, some it says style, depending on what instrument you have. So I'm going to go and do this. Let's see. Let me get to my keypad here, and I'm going to go to, oh no, not that. There we go. And I'm going to come to here. And automatically everything is set. The only thing that I have preset is, again, I pulled back my reverb and I locked it because I just don't like it to be over powerful. So let's take a listen to this. Now, I'm going to put my reverb all the way up. See if you can hear a difference. Did you hear a difference? Do you hear the echo, reverberation? Are they shaking their heads? Yes, Robert.
They are.
Good.
I am too. I heard it.
Yeah. I wasn't loving it. Now, I just want you to hear the tone with no reverb. We call that flat or dead.
Or dry.
Okay. That there's no reverberation. It feels like you're missing air in the sound. Now let's add a little bit to it. You hear the action moving? That's the reverb. So you don't want it dead or flat, and you may not like it all the way up to the very top as well. Does that make sense? Any questions? How are we doing? Oh, good. One more thing I want to talk about, and I have mentioned this before, but I would like to mention it again, and that is song setup. And I know we all have probably beat song setup to death, but it's such a great feature because it really helps people to know what they're going to use. So I'm going to just pull up my thing here. Yep, there we go. And so song setup, this is really important for you to know. Song setup gives you a sound, okay? All of my 11, what's called on my instrument presets, yours might be style setups, all of those 11 are not activated with song setup. So what happens, this is a scary thought. Oh, and let me go to, yeah, I want to go to Ain't Misbehaving. Let me do my song setup here. And I'm going to Ain't Misbehaving. And then I'm just going to change my, there. Okay, so I have this sound. So what happens is, okay, fine. So then you go, okay, I'd like to get off of that for a minute. And you go and you touch. Let's say you touch number 5. Look out. I don't think that's what you wanted to do. So when you get that one sound for song setup, when you've used it, if you want to change your sounds, which I certainly hope you do, because you don't want to play a whole song with one sound, you have to remember to turn on your normal rhythm preset or style setup, and that will activate all the other 11 sounds to fit that particular style. So I'm going to do it without and just take the sound they gave me, and then I'm going to change, but my instruments are not there. They're in waiting, but they're not activated yet. Take a listen. Oh boy. And you're saying, what happened? Now I'm going to change and turn on my setups. Ah, that works. How was that? So take advantage of the song setup sound, but remember that you have 11 others up here and 11 others down there. You just have to activate them. Any questions on anything we did? Okay, Robert, it's all yours.
Okay, are you going to finish off with a number?
Sure.
Okay. Well, like I said, just a reminder, there was a bunch of people who jumped on towards the middle or partway through. So let me just pull this up real quick. And let's see here. There we go. So first thing is just a reminder that we have a great concert coming up featuring David Jazaides, AKA Mr. Organ Boy. He's actually very popular in the Fort Myers area. Very skilled, he's going to have a great selection of songs, some great classics from the music of yesteryear. I'm going to tell you, you're definitely not going to want to miss this. Wednesday, May 26th, link is on the calendar. If you could RSVP, that would be just good for us to know. I'm going to send tomorrow's announcement of the week classes and what's happening in the upcoming week here. That'll be in there. If you don't RSVP, that's fine. The link is still available. It just gives us an idea of what to expect. That's all. Also, this class is being recorded. It will be posted. I think it's going to be in line to post on Tuesday, just FYI. And it will also be available on our Patreon, which we have all sorts of free and contributor content, bonus content. And for those of you who are not familiar with Patreon, it's, oh, look at that. You get to see Joni in different colored dresses. Sometimes it's worth it just to see that. But we have bonus content. A lot of times we have content that has, like Joni had an outline here and an arrangement of what she did for that particular class. There she is again. Now you're wondering, why is there so many Jonies in a row? Well, because when I go on the Patreon, you can actually search by name, or you can pick by category. So this particular one, I did this little search here and I clicked on Joni, and what it did is it shows me all of Joni's classes. You can search by topic. You can search by conductor magic, SD, other artists, all sorts of things that you can do, okay? If you're not a patron, what'll happen is you may go to our site and let me just do this, and it may come up and it may look something like, I don't know if that's the right one or not. If you ever see the videos on here and it's blocked out, it means it's just for Patreon members. In this case, it's still showing it. All right. So some content is available to the public and some is just for Patreon members. And it's a great way to just contribute. And last but not least, we're going to have Joni finish off with a nice little number here for you.
I don't know.
Is it going to be Marianne? No.
It was kind of
but I
my
already did
idea.
that for you.
Okay.
But it is a fabulous, fabulous rhythm style that you can just play hundreds of songs with. And I just love it.
And a big round of applause to Joni Monero, everybody. Give it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni.
So fun to play. So fun.
Thank you,
I've been playing Lowry organs for 20 years and I learned so much today I didn't know.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. I'm very happy about that.
So I'm gonna
Yeah, don't forget, if you have a question, please go to your personal assistant, make a phone call, whatever you need to do so that you get whatever question you have answered.
Joni, what was that style? What was
Got
the song?
Swing.
Okay, thank
Got
you.
Swing. It's fabulous.
Yeah, sounds great.
As a matter of fact, if you go on, this introduction is so fascinating. If you go on YouTube and you YouTube, I Got the World on a String by Michael Bublé, and he does it live actually. And if you listen to the introduction, it's exactly what's in our instrument, exactly the same. It's fabulous. Take a listen to it on YouTube. It's really worth it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. And have a great weekend.
Thank you. You do as well.
Goodbye.